I'm Patrick King, and you're watching SYNTHWAVE Ultra. This week's guest is one of the standout artists in the chiller side of synthwave. With lush production, rich world building, and a distinct dreamy style, his music creates stories and soundscapes that take the listener on a uniquely nostalgic journey as only he can do. Welcome this week's artist, MK Khan. I'm here with MK Khan. Thank you very much for joining me this evening.
Hey, thanks for having me, Patrick.
Yeah, so how did you get started in the whole synthwave retrowave thing?
So it actually started back in, I think it's kind of, the same story for a lot of people, Growing up, I was playing GTA Vice City. That kind of introduced me to a lot of, obviously Flock of Seagulls and, dance hall days from Wang Chung, and I grew up listening to that. A lot of 80s music on, back in the day, it was AOL radio. They had a specific 80s pop station. Just grew up on a lot of that stuff. Eventually, obviously, 2011 came around, Drive came out with Ryan Gosling. And, a lot of people kind of fell in love with the soundtrack. I was one of them. And then, there's a lot of, electronic kind of 80s aesthetic type of subgenres going on around Tumblr at the time. If you're familiar with C-Punk, vaporwave came around the same year. And I was always kind of into those kind of discussions. And then I didn't really know synthwave existed until after I was really into vaporwave. And I was like, wait a minute, I love, all this 80s electronic stuff like Miami Vice. Drive obviously was kind of the grandfather of that kind of stuff. And I was like, hey, there's a whole community of people that are making this stuff. There's new music coming out every day. And I was like, wow, I really want to get involved in this. So, I picked up some software and I was like, let's get this started. I think I can do it. I was trained, I learned how to play music since I was a child, took different courses. I was in marching band, concert band. So I felt like I had the musical background to begin composing music. And then just, again, like I said, the passion for that 80s aesthetic that I grew up consuming, kind of just brought it all together, finally created the MK Khan project. Yeah,
very cool. That's interesting too, because I know a lot of people cite Drive. Yeah, that's cool about Vice City and that distinct that distinct 80s synth pop style of Flock of Seagulls and that kind of thing too. Because it's when I guess was it that specific track that Dance Hall Days, right?
Yeah, Dance Hall Days. That was kind of because that song first played, I think, when you enter the Malibu Club as Tommy Vercetti. And I was like, wow, everything about this is what I want my life to be. Yeah, I could be mistaken, but I'm pretty sure it was Dance Hall Days by Wang Chung when you enter the Malibu Club.
Nice. Yeah, that's definitely a good pick because I mean, obviously that's a very distinctly 80s, especially too coming from Vice City like that.
Yeah.
And that's interesting too that you mentioned Tumblr because I remember I was really active on Tumblr from about 2012 to about 2017 or so. And I remember seeing bits of vaporwave stuff, but yeah, that's cool that there is that big community there to really influence and inspire you like that.
Yeah. So I think a lot of people tell you Tumblr was really toxic around those years too. So it wasn't just a happy-go-lucky playground. You had to actually seek out the positive parts of Tumblr at the time. So yeah, I think Tumblr is kind of ancient history. I don't really know a single person that uses it anymore, but that's honestly where I first discovered vaporwave, so I got to get into that.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it was definitely very much a product of its time. Because like I said, I remember being super active around then, getting more comic stuff and wrestling stuff, because that was the place for fandoms. But yeah, there was just so much toxic crap on there.
Yeah, it was kind of it was probably the last part of the Wild West era of the internet before things started kind of being more, I don't know, I guess calm, which is a good thing, I think. But it was probably the last part of that crazy era of the internet where, maybe it started mid late 90s, kind of ended in 2012, 2013. Probably when Vine died out, that's when things started, we shifted into this new era.
Yeah, exactly. Because I remember like even like you said like too in like the late 2000s. I mean like 4chan was a big thing before it just became this toxic cesspool of racist and fascist and stuff. Oh
Yeah.
man. Well, coming off of that, so who else are some of like your big inspirations and influences?
Yeah, so I mean, like I already mentioned, just classic '80s artists, obviously. But then, Jan Hammer, I really love the Miami Vice soundtrack.
Mm-hmm.
This was before I even knew synthwave was a thing. I just used to listen to that. Like I used to try to find old CDs and tapes, and search it out on YouTube back when I was in college. A lot of yeah, I mean, that's pretty much it. I grew up listening to like a lot of Linkin Park and like early 2000s pop punk. So there is a bit of like a, Mr. Han, Mike Shinoda, type of inspiration on some of my music. In the way they approached their music was kind of more like soundtracky. I know they're more, Linkin Park was much known for like their hard rock stuff, but I really like how they were kind of, really influenced by the electronic sounds of that era and the hip hop influence, and I just try to bring a lot of that into my work now.
Yeah, no, that's really cool. Because I think we talked about that like on Twitter and stuff about like because I remember like in around 2000 or so I was like 15, 16, and like I was super into Linkin Park like that, like those were like I can have like, half a dozen Linkin Park posters on my bedroom wall, and I was just all about them and everything. But yeah, that is true though, because I remember like Johan and Mike Shinoda had just this super polished like very like cinematic style. And,
especially like remember like Cure for the Itch from Hybrid Theory. Like the first time I heard that, I was like, whoa, they have like an intro, they have like a narration going on. There's like Mr. Han was like painting kind of like a scene with the music that he was kind of producing, and then there was that drop that came in, and I was like, wow, he's like really taking me on like a journey with this music, and that kind of always stuck with me.
Yeah, and I remember too, I forget what the name of the main instrumental track on Meteora was, but I remember him distinctly saying like, listen to this with headphones, because it has like this really cool like spatial feature to it, where like it really feels like it creates just this like space for you to inhabit. Like so, yeah, like that's really cool. Yeah, I can definitely see that in your work too, because like your work definitely has that. Like it feels like you're creating this world and this full experience.
Yeah, that's pretty much what I try to do with each album I've released so far. Like, each album I make sure has an introduction and kind of like a conclusion or an epilogue. And I do try to tell a story throughout the tracks that are, in each album. And some of them do have like an intermission. So I do really want it to feel like somebody's like watching a movie or watching like 2 episodes of a show or something.
Yeah, cause that's one of the things, like specifically Weekends on Earth that I really like is like how it has that introduction where it's like it's like this like futuristic vacation spot but like and it's just really cool because it has that like kind of like dreamy, almost like you said, like kind of vaporwavy feel to it, where you're just like everything just kind of like bright, kind of hazy, and just like it's really cool and kind of like just very chill.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, and I definitely tried to like you said, make it kind of like a movie. There was a lot of like Spielberg-y type of influence to that. I was really watching a lot of the Amblin films at the time, like E.T. and that. And obviously I grew up on Jurassic Park, and I always had this, connection with like, the Spielberg and Amblin type of storytelling. And then obviously Back to the Future played a huge role in influencing that album as well. And yeah, it is, kind of just a story of these people that they're on vacation through time. They end up crash landing in California in 1988, and then, the adventures that they go through.
Yeah, that's really cool, because that's one of the things that I like about synthwave in general. Like, so one of the things that I really like about that a lot of folks do in synthwave is create like concept albums, basically, where like it's like telling a story, even it's telling a story and creating a world, even if there aren't really a lot of like lyrics or vocal elements to it, but like it does, but like again, like your stuff does a really good job of that, of creating these, like it creates a full-on experience, which just makes it stand out really well, and like there is a distinct story to it.
Yeah, thank you. I'm glad I was able to convey that message.
Yeah. So one of the things that I also really like that stands out about your work is that you do you do pretty much all of your own album art, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's one of the things that I think is really cool about your work as well is like it very like your visual style and your audio style like are very much in tune. Like it has, because I was noticing it reminds me a lot of Hiroshi Nagai, and that like kind of like city, like almost like city pop kind of vaporwave aesthetic, where it's just like, you know, it's kind of flat, but it has these like really lush colors, and they're like, even though it's flat, there's a sense of like depth to it.
Thanks. Yeah, that's a really great compliment. I mean, yeah, Hiroshi Nagai is a huge influence on my art. And you know, it's funny, like even though I don't produce city pop, I guess definitely the aesthetic I do borrow from it. And yeah, I think a lot of people, and I'm not saying this is a bad thing, but you know the neon grid and like that synthwave sunset, it's like in a lot of people's work, and I honestly, like, I do love that. That's really cool stuff. But I tried to purposely not use that stuff in my album art because I just didn't feel like growing up, I never saw that stuff on like actual 80s albums. And when I'm creating my stuff, I'm like, okay, I want it to look like if I was walking through a record store and I'm looking through the crates, like would I actually see this there? And I knew that like if I see like a neon grid or a sunset, I wouldn't necessarily have seen that growing up, like, you know, digging through actual 80s records. So that's kind of just what I try to emulate. Like you said, like Hiroshi Nagai, and like there's a lot of that kind of flat looking artwork, but there's also some depth to it. And I just like adding a lot of like the grain to it to make it look like it's actually from the 80s.
Yeah, because I remember talking to I guess he was a gallery curator who like at an art gallery in Austin where like they do like a lot of pop culture stuff. But I remember he was just giving me some pointers and stuff. And yeah, he was saying how like putting some grain, putting just like a very fine grain overlay, that adds so much. And he's totally right. I mean, I know like for myself, I try to do that in a lot of my stuff. Where yeah, you just add a very fine grain layer to it, and like it makes it look just. I mean, the infamous designer phrase of "make it pop," but it really does, like, you know, it gives it that extra element that like really pushes to the next level. And so yeah, like that is very, very apparent in your work.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, so talk about some of your inspiration influences. So like, so who are some of your favorite artists today, like, you know, synthwave or otherwise?
Like who am I listening to right now?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I've been going through a lot of different genres lately. You know, like I mentioned, early 2000s pop punks. I've been listening to Alistair. I'm actually a big fan of Drake. I do like, wow, what am I listening to? Baby Keem. Some of the new Kendrick songs he has out with him is really good. I listen to a lot of Logic, which I feel like he kind of like disappeared. Like people thought he was like a really corny rapper, but I don't know. I've just been rediscovering a lot of his old stuff. Like his like Bobby Tarantino mixtapes were really good. And synthwave wise, obviously, you know, LA Celerect, LA Dreams, the Midnight's always like spinning over here. And then I listen to a lot of my friends' records. Like I'm like really good friends with like, you know, Sound Engine, Teradyne, you know, those bunch of guys like just across the world, you know, Millennium Falcon, Alpha Chromeo, John Gal. Like I listen to these guys all the time. Like we talk like every day. We have like a group chat. And you know, I just like, it's so cool that I can like be friends with these people and listen to their music. And someone's like, you know, like, hey, Starfare dropped a new album. I'm like, let me go listen to it right now. Like I'm talking to him on a group chat, but like, you know, I can go listen to his new album. It's just like, that's like one of the things I really love about synthwave is like, these are people that are creating such good like music, and then they're like so easily accessible. Like you can just talk to them, which is one of the cool things about synthwave.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it is that like I know you know, people will kind of joke about it, but the whole like synth fan thing. I mean, it's for real. Like it is really cool. Like how like just like how community oriented it is, and like how accessible people are. I mean, you know, like I feel like they're pretty few and far between of people being like smug or whatever. But for the most part, like, you know, you message somebody like on like Twitter or Instagram, like more often than not, you know, they'll respond and they'll be really cool.
Yeah, I think, at the end of the day, everyone's just happy somebody's listening to the music that they created. And that makes, as an artist, I think that makes me really happy. Like if I see somebody repost my artwork on Instagram, like I'm so ecstatic about it. I'm like, wow, you liked it enough to save it to your, make a screenshot and like save it and repost it to your stories or something. That's just like such an amazing feeling. Cause like, back in the day, I was like, songwriting, playing guitar and stuff in high school. I was like, I'd be lucky if I can get like one person to listen to this song on MySpace. But now like so many people are listening to my music and I'm just like, I can't believe it, and I try to be there for everybody. Like if somebody likes my music, I'll love to have a conversation with them about it if they want to reach out.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, yeah, because it's funny you mentioned that Alpha Chromieo. Like he's definitely one of those guys who's like super accessible. Like he's always chatting with folks on Twitter and everything. And he's always coming up with all kinds. He comes up with a lot of really wacky stuff, but like it's so clever and creative.
Dude, he's the best, man. He's so funny. I love his music. He's just such a nice guy.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, that's the thing too. That like again, like it's so just like community oriented and people are so cool. And like and that's the thing too. Like when you have shows like Night Ride FM and like all the different shows on there, like it just adds to the community and makes it even more accessible, and like it helps it grow and just be more positive. Because I mean that's like as with any community, there's always going to be some kind of like negativity or people being gross, but that's always just kind of at the edges, which is good.
Yeah, and that's what I think is unique about SYNTHWAVE is I think there is this shared camaraderie. I think it's we're all from different areas of the world. I got friends from Europe, South Africa, like Asia, obviously California, and we all are from we have like such different lives, different goals and stuff, but something about it, like we all experience kind of the same childhood in a way. And I think the thing with music is I don't think it's necessarily a passive activity. I think somebody's experience in creating a memory when they hear a certain song or a melody, they're creating that memory in a completely different way than somebody else will attach like a feeling or a memory to it. So maybe somebody will watch like Dragon Ball Z growing up and have a completely different experience and relating it to their everyday lives at the time. And the thing that makes it unique is that now, as we're looking back on it through a nostalgic lens of the 80s and the 90s, if I share like a picture of Goku on Instagram, everyone that was exposed to those images growing up, they're going to immediately connect to it. And I think that's really what's interesting about it, because we can all connect to it in one way or another, even if it's like a completely different way. There is that shared sense of, oh man, I remember those times, I remember those days. And it will spark that memory, that area of your brain that'll make you feel like, oh, there's like some comfort to this, there's like this nostalgic, rose-colored glasses type of, view of it. And I think that's really what's amazing about having that. We have this electronic music genre, but there's also this nostalgic feeling to it, which, it would not be complete without that nostalgia factor. And again, like I said earlier, I think that's what really makes this community really special.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, that's because I know nostalgia is nostalgia is like one of the key elements of SYNTHWAVE is like even too like you're saying about the album art, even if it like even if the 80s wasn't specifically Broken Sun grid lines and stuff, it's still, even if it's I feel like with a lot of stuff, it's not necessarily nostalgic for the 80s, it's just nostalgic just for like when you're a kid, like when things were simpler and just. And yeah, I think there's definitely that element to that, because like you said, like I'll see you'll post stuff on Instagram where just like, oh yeah, I remember that, and like for a moment it takes you back to like when you're in middle school and you didn't have to worry about like bills or a mortgage or a job or anything like that.
Right. Yeah, definitely.
Cool. Well, so you mentioned some of your other stuff like playing guitar on Instagram. So like. Do you have any other musical projects like you have now or like have had in the past?
Yeah, like I said, I used to be like the singer-songwriter type of person. I was really influenced by like Jason Mraz when I was in college, and Definitely create a lot of cringeworthy, singing type of songwriter stuff. Like, I wanted to be that guy in the coffee shop playing for some people. And
Mhm.
I performed a few times in college, but I haven't performed since then. But yeah, those days are behind me. I think I'm definitely just, super into this electronic retro type of music now. But it would be fun, I think, to go back into singing. I think, I sing at home all the time. I think I annoy my wife a bit, but yeah, it's fun to do, but I don't know if I'd necessarily publish it.
Yeah. Yeah, 'cause that's what's interesting too with with so much of synthwave is that yeah, I feel like for the most part it's instrumental, and obviously there'll be stuff with vocals, but I know your stuff is primarily instrumental, which I mean it obviously works really well for you. You create these gorgeous moods and atmospheres and everything like that. But yeah, it would be interesting to see an MK Khan album with some vocals on it.
Yeah, I gotta try it out. Maybe I'll send you a demo and see if you like it or not.
All right.
But yeah, no, I agree with you again. Like, a lot of vocal. I mean, I'm not saying vocal synthwave is bad. I mean, some of my favorite artists, like I said, are my vocal synthwave, like Midnight and Motion Epic, are just amazing. And yeah, I definitely love that type of synthwave as well.
Yeah, the Motion Epic for sure. I mean, I remember. I think I got in. I had always kind of heard of them, but then when their latest one came out, I remember actually listening to looking them up and listening to it. It just blew me away with how good it was.
Yeah, Boardwalk Arcadia is so good. Oh my gosh, so amazing.
Yeah, it's just so rich and emotive. That's just pure synthwave at its purest. It was really really good.
Yeah, for sure. Pat and Calamocho over there. I'm actually working on a project with Calamocho as well. So really excited about that.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. So kind of coming off of that. So have it. It's I think you've done some collaborations here and there, right?
Not so much. I mean, so I guess this can be the world exclusive premiere of this Muse, but I do have a remix album coming out in next year.
Okay.
And there are a lot of cool people on there. I can't reveal the names yet, but I'm really excited to be collaborating with all these artists. And like I said, this is like you said, it's hashtag SynthFam, but these guys are these are my friends first and foremost, and I just wanted to be able to collaborate with them. And I don't necessarily always have a featuring artist on my work, so being able to do this remix album was really fun for me. So yeah,
very cool. Because I was going through your Spotify earlier, and I saw you had a handful of remixes on there. So yeah, that'll be really cool to hear.
Yeah. So I did release a few of the remixes from this album, and hopefully I'm gonna get it wrapped up.
Nice. Yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to that.
Yeah, me too. Thanks.
Well, what do you get up to when you're not making music, synthwave or otherwise?
Honestly, man, since the pandemic started, I haven't been able to do much, but just try to enjoy time with my family. Just make music and art, and my day job takes up a lot of my time. So this is kind of just my escape from everything.
Yeah, definitely hear you on that, because ever since all of this happened, it's basically been my wife and I holed up in the house and
right,
working from home. So yeah, definitely hear you on that.
Yeah. But no, I mean, definitely I think if you follow me on Twitter, you'll see that I do have a lot of other interests. I'm really into comics and pro wrestling and I just like telling jokes on Twitter. I don't know. I feel there's so many common interests a lot of us share, and then if you don't talk about it, you won't be able to build that community. So I do try to reach outside the synthwave bubble and find other people with common interests. So really, it was really cool to bond with you over, talking about pro wrestling and, talking to a lot of other people about comics. I'm a huge Batman fan, so if anybody ever wants to talk about Batman, feel free to DM me on Twitter. I'd love to talk about that.
Yeah, for sure. Because it's funny, like you said with the wrestling stuff. Like seeing people talking about that. Like I'll see like Coffin Dragger. I think one time made an AEW reference, and I was like, I watched that too.
Or like somebody posts like a CM Punk gif. I'm like, oh, okay. Let me like this so this person knows that I'm part of that secret club here. Yeah, there was actually a time, I don't know if you remember, like maybe 3 or 4 years ago, you'd walk down the street and you see somebody with like a Bullet Club shirt on, and you're like, oh, okay, you're part of the cool kids right now.
Oh no, for sure. I remember that when I think it was either right before or right after he was there, but when Prince Devitt, before he became Finn Balor, was still in New Japan, like there were Bullet Club shirts everywhere.
Yeah, that must have been like early 2014 or so. Yeah.
Yeah, that was like the 2010 Steve Austin shirt.
Yeah, exactly. I still have my Bullet Club shirt somewhere. I gotta dig it out.
Oh, nice. Yeah, because I remember too, there was that, and then there were like a million parody shirts. They're just like, okay,
right.
Guys.
Yeah, Young Bucks carried like 20 variants of that same.
Oh yeah, of course.
Same logo.
Yeah, well, that's been one of the funny things too about watching the Young Bucks in AEW, because I knew of them prior to that, but like watching them in AEW, it's like I feel like that's kind of their thing, is that they're very self-aware, and so they'll like take a joke and like run it into the ground, but like intentionally so.
Yeah, it's super cool to see them on TV now, because I used to watch them back in they were at PWG out in Reseda over here, Pro Wrestling Gorilla, and I saw them live a couple times, and I was like, yeah, these guys are really good. Like, I wonder why they're not on TV. And now they're like, obviously like the number one competitor versus the other guys who shall not be named. But yeah, it's super cool to see their career growth over the past decade or so.
Yeah, because I remember that was the big thing, especially too, like when I forget if it was the Young Bucks and Cody or just the Young Bucks, but like they signed that big thing with Hot Topic, and they were like the top wrestling merchandise sellers at Hot Topic, just like on their own, which was like really impressive. Just I guess that's really like exemplary of the whole like DIY, the whole DIY spirit of it. Yeah,
that's the thing. Like if the Vince won't listen, like at least the merch will talk for you.
Yeah, most definitely.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, so you mentioned that remix album. So what else does 2022 hold for MKCon?
That's pretty much it. I'm hoping to drop that remix album early 2022, and then I am working on another instrumental album. Hopefully that'll be out later in the year as well, but that's kind of just a lower priority. I just really want to get this remix album out first, yeah, that's pretty much all I have planned for now. Got a couple new art pieces that I'll be releasing soon. They'll be available. Obviously, prints will be available on Redbubble, and then t-shirts on my website as well.
Yeah, very cool. I'll make sure to include links to those as well. So yeah.
Awesome, thank you.
Yeah, cool. Well, was there anything else you wanted to add or promote or anything?
No, just hopefully I'm glad people have been enjoying my music. Please don't give up on me now. I got a lot of I know I haven't released much this year, but like I said, a lot of cool music coming up. Just thanks for hanging out with me over the years, and thanks Patrick for having me on the show. It was really fun. Yeah,
you're very welcome. Thank you very much for joining me.
Yeah, thanks for having me, man.
All right, cool. Well, yeah. Thanks again for joining me, and yeah, we'll talk to you soon.
Alrighty, sounds good.
Thanks for watching. That was my conversation with MKCon. Make sure to check him out on Bandcamp and Spotify, follow him on Twitter and Instagram, and buy his artwork on Redbubble. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Patrick King Art. Be sure to check out the SYNTHWAVE Ultra playlist on Spotify for synthwave of every variety. Don't forget to like this video, leave a comment, and subscribe to this channel for more great synthwave conversations. Thanks again, and we'll see you next time on SYNTHWAVE Ultra.